What happens when the power goes out and it doesn't come back on? What if roads are blocked, phones go silent, and the temperature keeps climbing with no AC in sight? Millions of Americans aren't prepared for a summer grid failure, but the Department of Homeland Security has already warned us. It's not a matter of if, but when. These next 10 items aren't optional. They're your survival plan when the lights go out and help is days away. If you want to protect your family, stay safe, and keep control during chaos, you need to start preparing right now. Number 1. Water. When disaster strikes, water becomes your number one priority. You can survive for weeks without food, but just 3 days without water, and your body begins to shut down. In a power outage, especially during the heat of summer, dehydration hits fast. Your fridge won't work. Public water systems can fail. Pipes can freeze, rupture, or become contaminated. And if you're counting on running water during a blackout, you're gambling with your life. The Department of Homeland Security recommends storing at least 1 gallon of water per person per day, just for drinking, basic cooking, and hygiene. That means a family of 4 needs 12 gallons, just for a 3-day supply, and that's the minimum. If you live in a hot climate, have children, pets, or seniors at home, you'll need more. Dehydration isn't just uncomfortable, it becomes life-threatening in extreme heat or prolonged emergencies. Bottled water is a great start, but don't stop there. Tap water can be stored in food-grade containers, and it lasts up to 6 months if rotated properly. Look for stackable, collapsible, or jerry can-style containers to maximize space in apartments or small homes. Store your water in a cool, dark place, away from chemicals or heat sources. Make sure every container is clearly labeled with the date and contents, so you can rotate and refresh when needed. But water storage alone isn't enough. You need a way to purify water in case your stored supply runs out or your tap becomes unsafe. A high-quality gravity filter, portable straw filter, or even unscented bleach, 8 drops per gallon, can make unsafe water drinkable. Boiling is another reliable method if you have fuel or heat sources available. Don't forget, you can have a well-stocked pantry and still fail if your water is compromised. During real disasters like hurricanes or earthquakes, it's often the water supply that fails first. Bacteria, sewage, and chemicals flood into systems. And guess what? FEMA and DHS won't show up with bottles for days. If you're not ready before the power goes out, you're already too late. A smart tip: have a water go kit ready. Include water containers, a purification method, extra filters, and a collapsible bottle or bladder. If you need to evacuate or fill up quickly at a source, you'll have the tools ready to carry, clean, and use water immediately. And don't forget your pets. They need clean water too. Your entire emergency strategy depends on this one thing. You must have access to clean water. Without it, you can't eat, clean, stay cool, or stay alive. Every other supply in your kit becomes useless if you ignore this one need. So don't wait. Count the people in your home. Multiply by 3 days. Multiply by 1 gallon. Then start storing today. Add a filter. Add purification tablets. Make water your first move, because if the outage hits tomorrow, you won't get a second chance. Number 2. Non-perishable food. In a blackout, it's not just the lights that go out, it's the food supply too. The moment disaster hits, grocery store shelves can empty in a matter of hours, not days. And if the power stays down, refrigerated and frozen food becomes useless within 24-48 hours. That's why non-perishable food isn't a suggestion. It's a survival essential. You need items that require no refrigeration, minimal prep, and can be eaten without electricity, gas, or even running water. The Department of Homeland Security recommends food that's ready to eat, shelf-stable, and calorie-dense. Think canned goods, peanut butter, protein bars, dry cereal, instant meals, and dehydrated snacks. These foods don't need cooking, don't spoil easily, and still provide energy when your body needs it most. When you're stressed, overheated, or exhausted, you need fuel that's fast and reliable, not a complicated meal plan. Focus on variety as well as substance. In a crisis, eating the same thing over and over destroys morale. Mix in salty, sweet, crunchy, and soft textures. Include comfort foods, granola bars, cookies, pudding cups, because a little treat can mean everything after days of stress. If you have children, stock familiar snacks. If you have seniors, choose easy-to-chew options. And don't forget items like instant coffee or tea. A warm drink can lift spirits when nothing else does. Rotation is key. One of the most common prepping mistakes is letting food expire unnoticed. Mark your stockpile with dates and rotate every 6 to 12 months. Eat what you store what you eat. That way you're not just hoarding calories, you're maintaining a living emergency pantry that's always ready to go. Storage matters too. Keep your food in airtight containers away from moisture, heat, and light. Use bins or sealed totes if you're storing in closets or garages. Elevate food off the ground to avoid pests and temperature swings. Canned goods are heavy, so build shelves that can handle the weight, and keep a manual can opener nearby. Without it, all that food becomes a pile of sealed, inedible metal. And yes, remember your entire household. That means baby formula if you have infants, specialty foods for medical conditions, and pet food for your four-legged family members. A crisis doesn't stop a dog from being hungry or a diabetic from needing specific food. Prepping without personalizing is a recipe for failure. Don't forget that most emergencies aren't just about eating. They're about staying nourished when cooking is limited or impossible. If you have fuel, you can warm up soup or boil noodles. But if you don't, you need to have food. You can eat cold, straight from the can or package. Practice meals using your emergency stash so you know what actually works and what won't be touched, no matter how hungry you are. And here's the reality. When the grid goes down, the time to prep is over. The stores will be packed with panicked buyers and the food will vanish in hours. If you haven't stocked up by then, you're already behind. That's why building your shelf now, quietly, steadily, and smartly, is the only real solution. Start today. One extra can at a time. One bag of rice, one box of granola bars. It doesn't take a bunker, it just takes a plan. Because when your fridge goes silent, your stockpile becomes your security. And when the lights stay off for days, your pantry becomes the one thing that still gives your family control, comfort, and peace of mind. Number 3, emergency radio. When the power's out and your phone has no signal, how will you know what's happening? How will you get updates if a storm is worsening, if evacuation routes open, or if help is on the way? In a total blackout, information becomes a survival resource, and the one device that keeps you connected when everything else goes silent is an emergency radio. The Department of Homeland Security specifically recommends a NOAA weather radio with tone alert. These radios are designed to receive official broadcasts about storms, natural disasters, and civil emergencies, even when cell towers and internet are down. It doesn't matter how advanced your smartphone is. If the grid is down, your phone is just a flashlight with a calendar. Emergency radios are built for crisis. Look for one with multiple power options: battery, hand crank, solar, and USB charging. That way, you're not relying on one source that could fail. Some models even include built-in flashlights and USB ports to charge your phone or power a small device. In a blackout, that's a major bonus. Imagine it's day 3 of a summer power outage. The heat is rising. You have no phone signal. You don't know if help is coming or if conditions are getting worse. This is where the emergency radio becomes your compass. A short voice message from a NOAA channel could tell you where shelters are, what roads are closed, or when relief teams are expected. That tiny voice, broadcast from miles away, can help you make life-saving decisions. And don't think you'll just figure it out when the time comes. Radios take testing, batteries, and familiarity. Buy one now, test it, and know how to switch channels. Store it somewhere obvious in your emergency kit. If it runs on batteries, store extras nearby. If it's a solar or crank model, test both charging options. The last thing you want in a crisis is to fumble in the dark with an unfamiliar device. A pro tip: some radios also come with SAME, specific area message encoding technology. This means it will only alert you to emergencies in your location, not from another state or city. That feature saves power and prevents unnecessary panic. Choose one that's compact, rugged, and simple enough for anyone in the family to use, even in the dark. This isn't just about staying informed. It's about being in control. Panic spreads fast during blackouts, especially when people don't know what's going on. A simple radio broadcast can mean the difference between fear and clarity, between making a smart move or a deadly mistake. So here's the action. Get a NOAA certified emergency radio today. Store it where you keep your other supplies. Show your family how to use it. Turn it on once a month to test its range and functions. Because when the internet fails and your phone dies, this little device will be the only voice cutting through the silence. And that voice could be the thing that gets you out, gets you help, or simply gets you through the night. Number 4. Flashlights. When the lights go out, everything changes. Darkness isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. You can't move safely, find supplies, check on loved ones, or spot hazards around your home. In a blackout, especially one caused by storms or grid failure, your flashlight becomes your first line of defense against chaos, injury, and confusion. The Department of Homeland Security doesn't suggest one flashlight. It recommends multiple flashlights placed throughout your home. Why? Because power outages don't happen when it's convenient. They strike in the middle of the night during storms or when you're least prepared. You don't want to be stumbling through pitch black trying to find that one flashlight you threw in a drawer 2 years ago. Start with the essentials. High-quality LED flashlights. They're brighter, more efficient, and last longer than old incandescent models. Choose models that are impact-resistant and water-resistant, because emergencies don't care about gentle handling. Keep one in your bedroom, one in the kitchen, and one with your emergency supply bin. Place extras near exits and bathrooms. Every second counts when you're disoriented and trying to find your way in the dark. Headlamps are another smart addition. These allow for hands-free lighting, which is invaluable when you're cooking, carrying supplies, helping someone injured, or trying to fix something critical. Everyone in the family should have one, even kids. Not only do they help with visibility, but for children, having their own light offers comfort and security when the world feels unfamiliar and scary. But having a flashlight means nothing without power. That's why batteries are non-negotiable. Store extras right next to each flashlight and check them every few months. Even better, invest in solar-powered or crank-powered flashlights. These models give you unlimited light without relying on battery inventory. They're not just clever, they're a backup plan for your backup plan. Don't forget about area lighting. Small LED lanterns or string lights can light up rooms or outdoor areas, helping you cook, gather, or navigate without holding a light source. This kind of lighting boosts morale and reduces risk. A well-lit space feels safer. It feels controlled. And in a crisis, that feeling matters. Here's another pro tip. Use glow-in-the-dark tape or reflective stickers on flashlights, so you can find them even when it's pitch black. Label containers that hold batteries. Create a flashlight map so every family member knows where to go if they need light. Because when a power outage hits at 3 a.m., the last thing you want is a scavenger hunt. Most people don't take light seriously until they've spent one full night without it. Then, every creak is a threat, every shadow is paralyzing, and every second feels longer. Don't be that person. Be the one who's already holding a working flashlight with spare batteries and a clear plan. So start now. Test the ones you have. Replace anything weak or unreliable. Build a lighting system that works even if the grid fails for days or weeks. Because in the dark, light isn't just convenience, it's control. And in an emergency, control can be the difference between calm and chaos. Number 5. First aid kit. When disaster strikes and help is delayed or doesn't come at all, your first aid kit becomes your frontline hospital. In a summer power outage where emergency rooms may be overwhelmed and ambulance response times grind to a halt, minor injuries can quickly turn into major problems. That's why a well-stocked and customized first aid kit isn't optional, it's survival. This isn't about just having a box of Band-Aids. A proper first aid kit should be built to handle cuts, burns, sprains, infections, allergic reactions, and more. According to DHS and emergency medical experts, you need more than the basics. Stock your kit with sterile gauze, medical tape, antiseptic wipes, tweezers, gloves, a digital thermometer, instant cold packs, and scissors. Add antibiotic ointments, antihistamines, and both acetaminophen and ibuprofen for pain, fever, and inflammation. But the most overlooked piece of prepping is customization. Store-bought kits are a starting point, but they don't know your family. If someone in your home relies on prescription medications like insulin, inhalers, or blood pressure pills, you need a backup supply stored safely. The same goes for EpiPens, antacids, or anything your family uses regularly. You can't assume access to pharmacies or refills during a crisis. Prepare for the vulnerable. If you have infants, add fever reducers, diaper rash cream, and child-sized dosages. If you care for elderly parents, include joint support wraps, extra hearing aid batteries, or compression gear. Make a printed list of medical conditions, allergies, and current prescriptions for each family member. In a high-stress moment, when someone else has to help, that list can save precious minutes or lives. Storage matters. Keep your kit in a waterproof, clearly labeled container that's easy to carry. Emergencies don't happen where it's convenient. You might need to treat a wound outdoors in your car or while evacuating. A grab-and-go setup with carry handles or backpack straps is ideal. Also, consider keeping mini first aid kits in your car, workplace, and go bag, because you never know where you'll be when something happens. Most importantly, don't just own the supplies, know how to use them. Take a basic first aid and CPR class through your local Red Cross or fire department. Learn how to clean a wound, stop bleeding, wrap a sprained ankle, and recognize signs of infection. In a world where professional help is hours or days away, that knowledge is the real emergency tool. Let's face it, injuries happen when systems are already stressed. Downed power lines, broken glass, falls in the dark, burns from candles or grills. And if you don't treat them properly, they can spiral out of control. Infection, fever, swelling. What was once a minor problem becomes a life-threatening emergency, just because you didn't have the right tools on hand. So here's your mission. Build a first aid kit that's built for your reality. Not a generic box with stickers. A real, practical, tested system that matches the people in your household. Organize it. Label it. Train with it. And make sure everyone knows where it is and how to use it. Because when emergency strikes, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of preparation, and if your level is solid, you'll have what it takes to keep calm, treat injuries, and carry on, even when help is nowhere in sight. Number 6. Extra batteries. Think about everything in your emergency kit that runs on power. Your flashlights, your emergency radio, your thermometer, even your fans. Now imagine all of those items turning into useless paperweights because you forgot the one thing they all depend on: batteries. They're small, easy to overlook, but in a prolonged summer blackout, batteries become currency. The Department of Homeland Security stresses the importance of storing extra batteries in multiple sizes, AA, D, 9V, because every device needs something different. If you've built your blackout kit properly, odds are your gear has a mix of these. The mistake most people make? They stock the tools but forget the power. And during a crisis, you won't be the only one running to the store. Battery shelves are some of the first to go empty. Even more critical, some essential items like medical devices, thermometers, or baby monitors need very specific or hard-to-find battery types. If you rely on one of these, you must store backup batteries dedicated to that item. Label your devices now with the type they use so you're not fumbling when seconds matter. Here's a smart move. Create a battery box. Use a small plastic container or tackle box and organize by size. Add labels. Include a mini flashlight in the box itself so you can use it to swap batteries in the dark. Keep it somewhere cool, dry, and out of direct sunlight. Batteries degrade quickly if exposed to heat or moisture. But don't just rely on disposable batteries. You should also invest in rechargeable batteries and a solar-powered charger. That way, when you've burned through your stockpile, you're not stranded. A solar charger gives you a sustainable way to power your devices, especially if you're dealing with an extended outage where restocking isn't an option. Rotate your battery supply every few months. Use high-quality, long shelf-life brands rated for emergency use. Cheap batteries often leak, corrode, or fail when you need them most, and always store them in their original packaging or a sealed container. Loose batteries in a drawer are an accident waiting to happen. In a summer outage, the heat is relentless, and small battery-powered fans can save lives, especially for children, the elderly, or pets. But only if you've got the juice to keep them running. So don't wait for the lights to go out to realize your flashlight is dead or your radio is silent. Stock up now, organize now, test now. Because in a true emergency, batteries are power, and power means options, control, and safety. Number 7. Whistle. It may be the smallest item in your emergency kit, but a whistle could save your life. It's not flashy, it doesn't require power. But in the middle of a blackout, a collapse, or any large-scale emergency, a whistle becomes one of the most reliable ways to call for help when your voice can't. Picture this. You're trapped by fallen debris, or lost in a smoky building, or separated from your family in a chaotic evacuation. Your phone is dead. Your voice is hoarse. What then? A whistle cuts through noise, chaos, and distance with minimal effort, and rescuers are trained to listen for it. The universal signal for distress is 3 short blasts. That simple pattern could be the only sound that lets someone know where you are. Unlike yelling, which quickly drains your energy and can go unheard, a whistle can travel hundreds of feet and requires almost no strength. That matters when you're injured, dehydrated, or disoriented. The Department of Homeland Security includes whistles in its top survival gear, and for good reason. In natural disasters like earthquakes, tornadoes, or building collapses, people have survived hours, sometimes days, because they had a whistle on them. Not because they were the strongest, but because they were heard. Not all whistles are created equal. Skip the toy versions or flimsy plastic ones. Look for high-decibel emergency whistles, ideally made from aluminum or impact-resistant polymer. Many are waterproof, float in water, and are built into multi-tools or survival keychains. Compact and durable, you can clip one to a backpack, bug-out bag, or even your car keys. Every member of your family should have one. Teach your kids how and when to use theirs. In a crowd, during an evacuation, or even at a park or event, a whistle can reunite you in seconds. It's especially useful for seniors, children, or anyone who may have trouble shouting or panicking under pressure. And here's what makes it even more powerful. It always works. No battery to charge, no signal to find, no connection to fail. In a digital world, this low-tech tool remains one of the most trusted pieces of survival gear ever made. So don't underestimate it. Buy one, clip it, teach it. Because when the noise of the world disappears, your whistle might be the one sound that brings help running. Number 8. Dust masks. In any major disaster, the deadliest threats often aren't what you can see. They're what you breathe in. Dust, smoke, mold spores, toxic ash, or even airborne chemicals can fill the air in seconds after a building collapses, a wildfire rages, or an explosion releases contaminants. And once that air enters your lungs, you're at the mercy of what's in it. That's why dust masks, especially N95 respirators, are non-negotiable in your emergency kit. Most people think of masks in the context of pandemics, but masks serve a much broader purpose. After 9/11, thousands of first responders and civilians suffered lifelong respiratory illnesses due to dust and toxic debris in the air. During wildfires in California, families who didn't have access to masks suffered from smoke inhalation, asthma attacks, and serious breathing problems, some lasting months or years. In these moments, your survival depends not just on staying safe from physical harm, but on protecting your ability to breathe. The Department of Homeland Security recommends keeping N95 respirators or higher-grade masks in your emergency supplies. Why N95? Because they're specifically designed to filter out 95% of airborne particles, including those small enough to bypass basic cloth or surgical masks. While basic dust masks can block large particles like ash or sawdust, N95s are your best defense against smaller, more dangerous contaminants like mold spores, bacteria, and viruses. Store multiple masks for each member of your household and make sure they actually fit. Adult masks won't protect children properly, and loose-fitting masks won't form the seal needed to filter contaminated air. Keep them sealed in their original packaging until you need them, and store in a cool, dry place to prevent breakdown. You should also consider masks with anti-fog features if someone in your family wears glasses. Visibility is key in emergencies, and fogged lenses can be just as dangerous as contaminated air. And don't forget to keep a few extras in your car and go bags. You might not be home when the air turns toxic. Masks may not feel dramatic, but they're one of the most overlooked lifesavers in any disaster. You might not realize you need one until the moment it's too late. You can't hold your breath through a wildfire, and you can't filter toxic dust with your shirt collar. The air won't wait for you to scramble, so take action now. Get N95s. Store them properly. Fit them to every face in your family. Because when the air becomes poison, your mask is the only barrier between survival and suffering. Number 9. Plastic sheeting and duct tape. When the outside world becomes hostile, sometimes the safest place isn't a shelter. It's inside your own home. But what if the air outside is toxic? What if a chemical spill, radiation leak, wildfire, or industrial accident makes it unsafe to open a door or window? That's when plastic sheeting and duct tape transform your living space into a protective stronghold. And that's why DHS lists them among the top emergency essentials. You're not trying to build a fortress. You're creating a shelter-in-place zone, a sealed room that keeps outside air from getting in. It's not sci-fi, it's strategy. When officials give a shelter-in-place order, they're telling you that it's safer to stay put than to evacuate. But that only works if you've prepared your home to block outside air, dust, and particles that could make you sick. Or worse. Start by getting clear plastic sheeting, ideally 4 to 6 mm thickness. It's strong enough to form a barrier, light enough to work with fast, and lets in daylight so you're not stuck in complete darkness. Pre-cut pieces to match key windows and doors in your home. Label each one and keep them rolled with your emergency supplies, alongside several rolls of strong duct tape. When disaster strikes, you'll have minutes, not hours, to act. Tape the plastic tightly over doors, vents, and windows to create an air barrier. Make sure you're sealing the edges completely. Practice doing this with your family. Assign roles. Time it. Know which room is best to seal off, ideally an interior space with few windows. This isn't just for chemical threats. Plastic sheeting and duct tape can also cover broken windows after storms, create privacy in a crowded shelter, collect rainwater, or even serve as an emergency poncho or ground cover. The versatility of these two items is nearly limitless. You're not just buying prep gear, you're buying options. And let's talk duct tape. Not the dollar store version that peels in humidity. Get contractor-grade, weather-resistant tape that holds under pressure. It can secure tarps, fix gear, seal cracks, and even act as a quick tourniquet in extreme cases. In a crisis, it's one of the most adaptable tools in your arsenal. Too many people ignore these supplies because they seem weird or over the top. But the families who had this setup ready during Hurricane Harvey, wildfires in Oregon, or chemical leaks in Ohio didn't care how it looked. They were protected, while others struggled to breathe, relocate, or improvise solutions too late. So don't wait for sirens or breaking news. Buy your sheeting, buy your tape. Store them with your core supplies, mark your safe room. And most importantly, practice sealing it fast. Because when the air outside becomes the enemy, these two simple items could buy you life-saving hours of safety inside. Number 10. Sanitation and tools. In a long-term summer blackout, people tend to worry about food, water, and power. But there's one threat that creeps in fast and silently: lack of sanitation. Without running water or working plumbing, your home can turn from a safe place into a breeding ground for disease. That's why your emergency kit must include moist towelettes, garbage bags, plastic ties, and basic hand tools. These items aren't just about cleanliness. They're about survival. Let's start with the reality. When the toilets don't flush and the water stops running, you still need to go. And if you don't have a way to handle human waste, your home will become toxic in less than 48 hours. A 5-gallon bucket, heavy-duty trash bags, and plastic ties can become a temporary toilet. Line the bucket, use it, seal the bag, and dispose of it safely later. It's not glamorous, but it's vital. Moist towelettes, baby wipes, become your shower, sink, and soap when there's no water. You can use them to clean hands, faces, wounds, and even surfaces. In the heat, regular hygiene is more than comfort. It's about preventing rashes, infections, and illness from spreading in tight quarters. Keep a few packs per person. Store them sealed to prevent drying out, and rotate every year. Garbage bags serve multiple roles. Yes, they're for trash and waste, but they can also become ponchos, tarps, ground covers, rain catchers, or insulation. Cut open a heavy bag and you've got emergency plastic sheeting. Wrap gear, keep things dry, or even use it for warmth at night. Add plastic ties and you've got sealing, strapping, and quick fix capability in one simple, inexpensive item. Now let's talk tools, because when things break during a crisis, you can't call a handyman. DHS recommends a wrench, pliers, and a manual can opener. These 3 items give you the ability to shut off gas, turn valves, open stuck panels, and keep your food accessible when the power is out. A gas leak could become a fatal explosion without the ability to shut it off. A pantry full of cans is useless without a reliable opener. Store your tools with your main supplies. Label them clearly. Make sure everyone knows where they are and how to use them. During storms, blackouts, or accidents, seconds matter. And you don't want to be searching for a wrench when your basement is flooding or your gas line is hissing. This chapter might not sound exciting, but sanitation and basic tools are the invisible backbone of every emergency plan. You can have food and water, but if your waste isn't handled and you can't control your home systems, everything else begins to fall apart fast. So act now. Stock those wipes, bags, and ties. Get your tools. Practice turning off utilities. Because in the quiet moments after the lights go out, these simple, overlooked items will become the reason your home stays livable, your family stays healthy, and your crisis doesn't spiral into chaos. The time to prepare isn't when the power fails, it's right now, while supplies are available and systems are still working. Every item you stock, every plan you make, gives your family an edge when disaster hits. These 10 essentials aren't luxury, they're life support in a failing grid. Hope isn't a strategy and panic isn't a plan. But preparation, that's real power. Start small, build steadily, and create a system you can rely on. Because when the world goes dark, the ones who've prepared won't just survive, they'll lead. Start today. Your future self will thank you.